All right, number 3, you're going to want to go after getting some malpractice insurance. I think HPSO has kind of become the gold standard. So you can go find HPSO malpractice insurance. Here's a little tip just between us guys. Look, if you're going to be doing this as a side gig, a little side hustle, and you're just going to be seeing a few people at a time right now, look, you don't have to go all the way and get the super expensive business malpractice insurance. Anybody who tells you that, I think is very, very wrong, right? That's honestly way too much if we're just seeing a few people on the side. Get yourself some malpractice insurance. Typically, the general malpractice will cover you up to $1 million in a case, and make sure that covers you. I think when I started my practice, it was around $450 per year for your HPSO malpractice insurance. And now, guys, there are other insurance companies that will do this for you. Honestly, like I guess I'm just not one of those people that's going to spend hours shopping around. I'm just going to go with what I feel like is the best company and who's going to give me the most reputable, good malpractice insurance. So there are other ones, but I would say that's kind of the gold standard. If you guys can't tell, I don't like spending too much time on any one of these steps. I don't want any of you to spend too much time on any one of these steps because, man, I've had people up and running with a business within a week, depending on their state and how quickly their articles of organization gets accepted, right? But man, it can be a fairly quick process if we're ready to if we just kind of knock out these steps. So that's number 3. Get our malpractice insurance. That's kind of, again, depending on how much you're going to be working in that business. If you're going to be immediately going into full-time, then you can look into full-time and business malpractice insurance, which is going to be more expensive. Number 4, we want to really look at, are we going to be cash-based or insurance-based or a hybrid of the two? Because if you're insurance-based, obviously you want to start looking into getting credentialed with those different insurance-based carriers. But here's what I always tell everyone that we coach with, because this is a common question that we get, is should I be insurance-based or should I just be cash-based? I just want you to answer this question for me real quick, guys. What aligns most with where you want to go with this business? What aligns most with where you want to go with this business? And then secondly, what is going to serve your clients the best over the long term? When I start breaking this down and I start asking questions, a lot of times people are like, well, yeah, I want to take insurance because that'll be the easiest way to get clients in the beginning. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie about that for sure. Absolutely. If it's a do or die situation and you're like, man, I gotta get money rolling in now, which is rarely the case, by the way. It's just something that we sometimes think. Then yeah, insurance is going to be an easier way in, right? But it's crazy. The more and more conversations I have, the more and more I see long term. People are like, yeah, but I know I'll be happier long term cash based. So this is just to get the balls rolling. Again, you don't have to have a definitive answer to this question for number 4. This is just for you to start thinking about, am I going to be cash based, insurance based, or a hybrid of the two? And really starting to think about, well, does that fit into my long-term plans? And does that fit into helping my clients with what I want to help them with long-term as well? All right, number 5 is documentation. We want to figure out a way to document. Man, again, if you're just going to be doing this as a side hustle, honestly, pen and paper and store it in a lockbox in your office at home. I did that for nearly a year with Freedom Physical Therapy before we really grew in Denver. It was pen and paper. I carried a little, a thing around with me, whatever those things are called, a writing board, and I stored it in there. And then I would bring them home to my home office. I would lock it in a cheap little cabinet that I bought with a lock on it, and that was it. And I filed it into their folders. Again, I don't like seeing this one being a barrier to people just getting started. You could start at pen and paper. And if you're cash-based, you don't need a fully HIPAA compliant system like some of these softwares out there. You just need something that's protected by password on your computer. So, I mean, you could do G Suite or whatever it may be, Google Suite, and utilize that on your computer and still be perfect. And still, actually, you can still be HIPAA protected using G Suite as well. But you want to figure out what your documentation. How are we going to document on a regular basis? Other programs that I would suggest, I love PT Everywhere, and I love Jane App. We actually still use Jane App in the practice that I sold in Denver to this day. Jane App, Jane, Jane, App. It's not an actual app. Just search that on Google. That always confused me when I first started. I don't know why, so I figured I'd say that. PT Everywhere, the reason that I love them, have a good relationship with the guys that run it. Actually, they just came to our past live event. Jonathan Davis of PT Everywhere came and joined us. Great people who run that company, and it's a great software. Great documentation system, especially for cash-based providers. I haven't seen one that's more streamlined than what they do. And it also has home exercise programs, billing, everything under one house, even scheduling, all under one platform. And so that makes it really, really nice and kind of tidy because everything's in one spot.